so divine. I am so divine. I have no fear for the enemy. I never die cause I'm energy, yeah. I am so divine. Every time I get grounded, I talk to trees. Peace, wholeness, all of me. I am so divine. I have no fear for the enemy. I never die cause I'm energy, yeah. I am so divine. Every time I get grounded, I talk to trees. Peace, wholeness, all of me. I am so divine. Telepathically reading the mind. On the road to life and I see the signs. I am the truth, ain't no use in me lying. You won't believe what I see in the sky. Astral travel when I'm going inside. Shadow work here got me starting to cry. I'm here to tell you that healing the vibe. I had to get out my element just to connect to the elements. Magical neuro melanin. Natural herb is my medicine. Dedicate my life. Raise the vibration of planet Kyle. I'd rather be righteous than just right. Frequency up, I can feel it. I know love is the realest. I'ma stand on business. I'm with the tribe to the finish. Heart chakra energy, that's what I stand on. Bluetooth the most high with no headphones. I am so divine. I have no fear for the enemy. I never die cause I'm energy, yeah. I am so divine. Every time I get grounded, I talk to trees. Peace, wholeness, all of me. I am so divine. I have no fear for the enemy. I never die cause I'm energy, yeah. I am so divine. Every time I get grounded, I talk to trees. Peace, wholeness, all of me. I am so divine.
Me and Spirit signed the NDA, but my DNA ain't no telling what I'm really finna go and activate. When I look into the spectrum of my vessel, I can feel the source palpitate. Seeing into all realities, I've been really seeing I want other grace. I'm so grateful for my God body, even though it's still holographic fake. I can do a mudra in the sun while it's speaking to me, talking about my fate. I'm staring away from me while the spirit is showing away from me. Told me I'm to go key to the gate. I meditate to go speak to like A phone. They all say that we ain't home, but we made from the same source. I don't know if you ain't noticed. Eye by eye with my eyes, so I stay tunnel vibes with my vision focused. Used to be a rug rat watching Chuck E. Cheese. Laughter really is the token. Love is the doorway. I've been off the hinges while my heart shark stay open. I know I'm just like E.T. How I'm always staying on my point. My Merkaba don't beep beep, but it's sending off my neural tones. But you might hear it beep beep when I'm raw running to my home planet. Then my body vanish into pure ether. Now I see life from Omni
I am so divine. I have no fear for the enemy. I never die cause I'm energy, yeah. I am so divine. Every time I get grounded, I talk to trees. Peace, wholeness, all of me. I am so divine. I have no fear for the enemy. I never die cause I'm energy, yeah. I am so divine. Every time I get grounded, I talk to trees. Peace, wholeness, all of me. I am so divine.
Peace and chaos. We are back. Give me a thumbs up. Shout out to the Nagas and Fangs, all of the priests and priestesses. That song was by a new artist I found called King Manifest, featuring Kai Kalel. And of course, the song is called I Am So Divine. It's a little raw in production, as I said earlier on Patreon. But please check those brothers out. They have a lot of potential. On their YouTube is I Am King Manifest 888. So give them a listen. Check them out on Apple Music. And always support those who choose to use their gifts for empowerment instead of puppetry. For everyone coming over from Patreon, we got hacked today. We were chopping it up. We were getting it in. And we got hacked by a black hat we think is government. I won't say what they were doing in the hack because they were doing a lot of crazy stuff. And they were duplicating names of the patrons. And, you know, and they did this when we covered the Sanya Massey ritual, I think last year or the year before. So this isn't new, you know, people trying to disrupt the energy. When you have cosmic information and you're on a certain level, the government are going to send people to watch you. And, you know, a lot of people be on the woo-woo type of stuff, you know, oh, the government's been watching me since I was young because of my bloodline or whatever. This is the real shit I'm showing you. This ain't no damn fairy tale stuff where people make things to cover up what type of trauma, because we're going to speak a lot about trauma today, and they project things they saw in movies or read in an Illuminati book. I'm showing you what the hell is really going on. You know, because I've been facing that going back to like 2017 when they used to send a government agent on the phone and actually sleep through our whole entire lecture, this loudly snore over the lecture so people could be distracted by what I'm saying. So for people who take this information for granted, understand that this is the real shit. I didn't even want to put this info on YouTube today, but we're not going to let those black hats and whoever is the government agency prevent people from understanding what I wanted people to understand today. So we said, fuck it, I'm taking it to YouTube. A lot of stuff going on. We got the Iranian conflict. Trump just said that he wanted to do a ceasefire. I think it was just posted by the White House that there's a ceasefire now. So that astrological context, June 23rd today, a ceasefire occurred under a waning gibbous moon in Aquarius, which is the sign of false collectivism and engineered humanitarianism. So Mercury, as we know, is communication, is conjunct with Cancer. That's nationhood and emotion, which amplifies manipulative public messaging. So this is a symbolic framing because with the moon waning, that could symbolize the end of ritual drama, which dims the public outrage and it quiets the wrapping up of chaos. You also have the Luciferian Sabbatean symbolism. The Sabbatean logic is evil is sanctified when it leads to a greater political outcome. Israel is playing the suffering righteous people. Iran is playing the redeemable villain. And Trump is mediating as this Messiah figure who brought peace to both sides. But this is a manipulative technique to shift the polarity of sin and turn war into necessity, then necessity into peace, which is a symbolic reset switch, not for peace in accordance of what it traditionally symbolizes. This is a narrative opiate to dissolve the media attention and the soft covering of hard violence, semiotic illusions towards a deeper aggression and manipulation of the collective perception. So Trump is putting out this phasing of language. Let me pull that up real quick so people can see what was talked about today with the ceasefire. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button, share the video out. And I want my mods to be on alert. All of my mods be on alert. So a 12-day war, all symbolic. Got Trump with his fist up. This is a linguistic tranquilizer, people. They're tranquilizing people through this linguistic performative phasing of ceasefire, which is a type of linguistic to phase a rollout of gradual implementation to invoke stability of technocratic control. We have to understand that. I don't know why these ads won't go away, but the timeline itself, 12 hours in 12 days between Iran and Israel's disengagements is all arbitrary. It's a simulacrum of diplomacy. The semiotic linguistics is symbolizing a ritual cleansing. The bloodshed is a narrative symmetry and a distraction through resolution. A sudden ceasefire, what they're using here is something to end public's attention span. You see that? And the announcement came right after the U.S. led strikes on this nuclear complex, different complexes. Also heightened fear of World War III, nuclear escalation. This ceasefire is going to serve as an exoneration of all of these events, which creates an illusion through these actors of cleaning up the chaos they themselves provoked. So Trump is playing this peacemaker archetype, you know, the savior, the same King Cyrus archetype that the Sabbateans wanted him to play since the beginning. I wonder why they put Pandora's box. All of this is symbolic. It's all symbolic. And this is what we're going to speak about today, the hunter archetype of why these conflicts are happening anyway. Because the whole hunter archetype was being revealed about 2 or 3 years ago. You remember Hunter Biden's laptop? Or remember all of the Cincinnati Bengals, the NFL team, their motto being the hunt and them making it to the Super Bowl before the Ukraine war started. There was another hunt theme before the first war started in the 2020s, the different years of the 2020s. So the theme of the hunt, metaphorically, is speaking about a overlaying of global events in the context of psycho-spiritual warfare, which is ritual, geopolitics, and mass surveillance. So it's serving as a symbol of a targeted pursuit of humanity's sovereignty from the Archon timeline. But the hunter archetype represents those who track souls, nations, and ideologies through psychic, technological, and economic means. So remember events they were scaring people with, like the lockdowns, the media manipulations, all of this celebrity programming that we covered, and the escalated regional conflicts, like this recent tension between Iran and the US and Israel. They aren't random. They are part of a ritualized hunt of these families. I'm going to speak about what the Nephilim genetics is again. We covered it last lecture on Patreon, the Starfire rituals of the Nephilim, which is another moonchild ritual to bring a moonchild into the world, is what a Nephilim is. Finally crack that code, because you got all these podcasts. It's the Nephilim, and it's the Anunnaki, reptilians, and shit like that, but they never put it in context of what it really is. So we'll nip some of that in the bud, and I'm gonna really describe how this hunting goes on, because there's another metaphysical hunting you can do inwardly to hunt the trauma, the traumatic implications throughout your life's timeline, past life timelines, and also multi-dimensional timelines, because some of you are dreaming about parallel realities of yourself. In these parallel realities, they're dreaming of you and what you're doing in your physical life through quantum entanglement. There's an entanglement happening between your dreams, and you're serving as an avatar between it all. And if you're not cataloging this, you're missing out on a true magical ecology that your life is supposed to revolve around. This is how the ancients really lived. This is how they became living deities, because there were portals opening, and the dreams are a semiotics, a language of symbols within themselves, of higher energy happening on divine layers of the aeons. So you have to realize, if you're in the matrix, are you in the matrix? in the theme of your life, or are you living within the divine personas of the aeons? We come from some of us are spiritual warriors. We actually traveled in Merkabas and battled across timelines. We battled interdimensional beings going way, way back. Not all of us are spiritual warriors. Some of us are here to nurture, to make the physical 3D matrix lighter, less conflict or less tension, you know, on the spirit, the astral body. You're here to phase out all of the looping that the archons installed artificially within our DNA and within the astral atmosphere that connects to the magnetosphere and the firmament in what we experience down here. So there's mediators and there's actual people that go to war and get on the hunt. And we're going to speak about those themes in the lecture today, but we have to move quickly because I wasted an hour dealing with the black hat. We would have had an extra 3 hours today. I mean, it would have been a 3-hour lecture today. It wasn't going to go 6 hours. So they love to somehow bring in melanated people. I always show you this. Some people think it's redundant for me to do that, but it has something to do with the melanin and the physics of the melanogenesis. Trump says this. Did I hear President Medvedev or Medvedev, whatever you pronounce it as, from Russia, casually throwing around the N-word? Y'all, you know, when they say the N-word, what they really mean, but then he says nuclear, in saying that he and other countries would supply nuclear warheads to Iran. Did he really say that, or is it just a figment of my imagination? If he did say that, and if confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually. I guess that's why Putin's the boss. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over the weekend, far and away the strongest and best equipment we have, 20 years advance over the pack, is our nuclear submarines. They are the most powerful lethal weapons ever built. Just launched this, blah, 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 blah. But you see how you put the N-word, that's them trolling, because the pineal gland is a actual spiritual nuclear bomb. I showed people this. It's a nuclear implosive, not an explosive, a implosive, because cold fusion travels up and down the spine. So most people who have that black dot that trace back to original bloodline of these Atlanteans, Syrians, these beings who took on forms of melanated people early in ancient history, you have a charge implosive nuclear bomb literally in between your eyes. And they know this. And it's been ripening just as fruit over thousands, billions of years of reincarnations until it's right. I talk about this all the time. It's literally a charge implosion in between your eyes. They don't want to tell you that. They don't want, when they say in the Bible that everything is going to be gone in a flash, what you think they mean when they say that? Do you really understand what they mean? It means that the people who have that black dot, there's going to be a quantum entanglement with the cold fusion, where when it's ripened to the right day, down to the right second, we're all going to charge implode at the same time. And it's going to take about a second or half a second, and then we're going to be in a whole other dimension. The physical realm will be over. The human experience will be over. All of that will be over. So he's kind of making fun of this, but he knows, they know exactly what it is, because the N-word is really the Negrito. The Negrito is the beginning phase of alchemy. They're playing alchemical rituals, but they know where the black dot is. And it's in the time where it's supposed to be being set off right now. So that's why they're playing with the word. Then they spoke about some UFO over Iran. Now, understand this. They're going to keep bringing this UFO stuff off, but that's a part of the rituals, because we know the AI is really going to be the true alien invasion that's happening. AI, alien invasion. So this is like some real Predator shit, because the Predator is a hunter as well. And they came out with they're coming out with 2 Predator movies this year. They already came out with the first one, and Badlands. That's the one to watch. Predator Badlands. We're going to decode that when it comes out. But it could, these things could be green screen as well. So they saw this UAP sighting. It was reported over Iranian nuclear and military facilities near Tehran and Natanz. Is sparking speculation that there's advanced surveillance or non-human interventions, because the Iranian officials at times suggested that these crafts could represent Western black budget technology or some type of hyperdimensional monitoring device used in psychological warfare. So these also could be archetypal projections, like I say, linked to the Mahdi and the Iranian religion and culture over there. The prophecies of a demonic intelligence scanning the Earth's war hotspots and modulating the timelines. So in this lens, the UFOs that are being spotted above Iran could symbolize the convergence of ancient spiritual warfare, some type of technological dominance or interdimensional witness that makes Iran as a sacred battleground, tracing it back to Babylonia, which is why they're so infatuated, because America is the new Babylon. So they're connecting both of the timelines. So you must understand that. The American-Iran war was a simulacra. It wasn't real. It's a multi-layered geopolitical drama, which is rooted in imperial legacy, a energy harvest, and religious eschatology. This is mythic psychological warfare at the core of this. And a lot of this is a Anglo-American desire to control Eurasian energy corridors. And that's specific to Iran's strategic role as a land bridge between China, Russia, and the Arabian world. So the West has always sought to neutralize Iranian sovereignty and its potential to forge independent Islamic Shiite-based resistance models that are not aligned with NATO, the Zionist, or petrodollar frameworks. So Iran represents a nation whose governance blends Shiite esotericism, the anti-colonial ideologies, and pan-Islamic aspirations, which makes it a symbolic adversary to the liberal, secular capitalist model that dominates American foreign policy. So this isn't about nukes. It's about narrative control, energy weaponization, and archetypal resistance to empires. So from an esoteric lens, this is Babylon versus Zion. This is the Mahdi versus the Dajjal. This is Western elites that are invoking, consciously or not, apocalyptic confrontation to justify militarization and global restructuring. Or the hidden Iman, the messianic figure who will reappear during a time of global tyranny and deception. So it's nothing but a Sabbatean eschatological impulse to manipulate everything through media, diplomacy, and economic warfare, framing Iran as a pariah state for the axis of evil, as a threat to Israel, part of this mass ritual hex, casting Iran as the villain in a planetary mythos, while American foreign policy operates as a divine enforcer, under the pretense of liberty and security. This is psychological warfare engineered through these revolutions, deep fake diplomacies, and gematria coded military operations that were designed in the beginning to distort, provoke, and drain Iran's spiritual narrative power. And at the most clandestine level, there is a growing body of evidence and suspicion that all modern wars are simulacras, Hollywood-style warfare, wherein the actual combat zones are layered with CGI overlays or staged scenes, green screens, and media-managed illusions. These are the presence of psychological operations of the deep fake footage, theatrical crisis actors, and trauma-induced media loops, which are revealing that much of the war may not occur physically, but a astro-psychic sphere of the collective consciousness. Even authors like Jean Baudrillard noted that the Gulf War did not take place, which is proposing that conflict becomes a semiotic warfare. Images of destruction is replacing actual engagement with televised symbols and narrative tokens, which replaces the facts on the ground. So we could be witnessing a hyper-real ritual crafted by the magicians of the stream, the intelligence agencies, the Hollywood studios, the black budget contractors who shape public consciousness through stimulated destruction, emotional entrainment, and archetypal manipulation, all a scaling mind spell where war is not just waged on land, but is waged through language, image, vibration, and dream. So indeed is warfare, but it ain't the warfare that's on the ground. Now, with the loss of the Indiana Pacers, I wish I could go deep into the gematria. I'm going to save it for Patreon this week. But the star of the Pacers is Tyrese Halliburton. The Halliburton Oil Company is in Iran, ironically. So you have the star who tore his Achilles during the NBA Finals yesterday. If you match his face with bin Laden, there's a symbolic appearance, because all of these people are nothing but genetically modified clones through CRISPR editing. And Osama bin Laden equals 79 in gematria, just like the 79th NBA season. This is the 79th NBA season, and the last time the Oklahoma City Thunder, they actually won a finals, was when they were the Supersonics. That sounds like something of warfare weapons, a supersonic weapon. But when they were the Supersonics, they won it in 1979, and now they've won the 79th NBA season, the championship for the 79th NBA season. And look at this. Osama bin Laden's nickname was the Pacer. Now you get it. You get it, the Indiana Pacers. Adonijah says the Halliburton Oil Company is from Canada. That's interesting because the Edmonton Oilers lost to the Florida, I think the Panthers or something. So all the teams comparative to oil took an L this year. You see how they do that? So this is also some type of narrative flipping in inversion. So the narrative inversions in the flipping of context. Look at this. Donald Trump back in 2011, he says, in order to get elected, Barack Obama will start a war with Iran. Barack Obama will attack Iran in order to get reelected. I predict that President Obama some point attack Iran. Remember that I predicted a long time ago, Obama will attack Iran, and his ass is the one that attacked Iran. You see how they do this? All of these people are under some type of mind manipulation. I'm going to break down in a moment. I got to get into the Nephilim information quickly. Trump, right before he dropped that bomb on their nuclear plants, he says now is the time for peace. Then the U.S. strikes Iranian nuclear sites. Not even 10 minutes later, he says it's a time for peace. Then he strikes Iranian nuclear sites. It's all a stage. Okay, I'll get into this in a minute. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about that. So there's been a lot of Hunter movies that came out this year. Let me talk about those movies before I get into the bloodlines. So before I was hacked earlier, I was showing people the release of, remember Kraven the Hunter? I think this is Marvel. Yeah, with Spider-Man. He was one of Spider-Man's enemies. Kraven the Hunter came out. So, well, okay, it was 2023. My fault. It wasn't last year, 2023. So Kraven the Hunter was a theme going into 2024. But you had this other Hunter movie that was released this year by a Iran studio called Hunter. What's called The Hunter. You see that? This came out in Iran this year. So you had two Hunter movies, one connected to Iran. You have Kraven the Hunter and Marvel. You have this other action film that came out called Hunter of Hyena. This came out in 2025. Then you had Predator. That I broke down on Patreon last week, The Killer of Killers. Predator Killer of Killers came out. Then you have Badlands, I spoke about earlier. The big film about hunting is going to be in Predator, The Badlands. That's going to be the one. But you got another movie called Hunting Grounds that came out. The one that I'm showing here is a hunting movie called Bambi, The Reckoning. So all they did is take a darker re-imaging of the classic cartoon of Bambi, where Bambi becomes this demonic, whatever it is, elk or deer, and it hunts people. And the melanated woman is going to help save everyone, apparently. That comes out July 25th. Then you have two movies that's going to be released this year, The Day of Reckoning and After the Hunt with Julia Roberts in October. So all of these hunting themes is very important you pay attention to it, because I told the family I came in contact with this angelic intelligence, or this daimon intelligence called Sketkael. Some type of entity, when I was meditating on the beach, it came on Juneteenth, it came on strong on the beach. And it was a hunter archetypal of intelligence, and it was showing me things. So I tried to stay as long as I could to absorb information of this, because if you're doing the true spiritual work, you're going to get divine personas that's going to come into the collective of your unconscious, and they're going to show you, they're going to make magical implementations into your life that you've never would fathom before. And it's going to be a mercurial download into your mind. But you have to master your Zen or your Nin force to really hone in on it. I'm going to speak about the Nin force today. That's called the shadow chakras. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. when we were breaking down the book, The Physics of Darkness, by Wolfgang, the guy who wrote Polaria, Gift of the White Stone. I forget his last name. Y'all put it in the chat. Necro Yoga is the name of it. But we spoke about it recently, but we're going to go deeper in explaining that. So these movies, all about the hunt. What war weapon does God use? God uses lightning. He uses lightning. And Thor is another god of war in Nordic mythology. In recent, W.H. Mueller, thank you. So the name is W.H. Mueller. The Oklahoma City Thunder, you get it, like Thor's hammer, the name of the operation to send out the hoax that they were bombing those nuclear sites. I don't really believe that. But it was called Operation Midnight Hammer, like Thor's hammer. You get that? And it was orchestrated through Gamatria, of course. I'm going to show you how Gamatria has some astral codes in it that you have to be aware of. So let's speak about some of the Gematria before we get deep into what it was. Midnight Hammer equals 79. So the 79th season, as I said, OKC wins. And the name of the star of the OKC Thunder is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA is his name. He won MVP. Now he's a champion. His son is named Ares. Ares is the god of war, of Greek mythology. You get it? War. You get that? And I think they're saying Ares is a god of thunder in Greek mythology. So I'm not sure if that's true. Then the Oklahoma City played the Bucks in the NBA Cup this year. The NBA Cup final was on Pope Francis' 88th birthday. That 88 connection has been popping up a lot because that is a Naga code. We covered the Naga codes last video on YouTube. Check that out again. And going back to 88, Operation Midnight Hammer was completed 88 days from the United States Air Force's founding date, which is 77 years old. Remember, I talked about the number 77 a lot. But if you type in United States Air Force, Oklahoma City Thunder, you get 88 in the reduction cipher. 88 days. So we should understand that the sports are stripped into divine personas of the archetypes of what's happening. Everything pertains to it. So Israel was attacked 911 days after the death of Prince Philip. And the United States attacked Iran on Prince William's birthday. All of this has to do with the Nephilim bloodlines. The bloodlines that Franz Springmeier speaks about in his books. It's hard to see that. But there's another guy named Gary Wayne who wrote a book on these bloodlines. But anyways, so the tension between Israel and Iran began on the 911th month anniversary of Israel's founding date. Wow. And next Friday, or this Friday coming up, is 911 days after Benjamin Netanyahu's assumed office role as Israel's prime minister. So this has to do with the 9/11 code. That's why all of this Iran and all of that talk. So Israel was founded on the 135th day of the year. The supreme leader of Iran was born 135 days before the start of World War II. And Netanyahu assumed office on the birthday of Albert Pike, who predicted the 3 world wars. Then there's Revelations 13, verse 5 is about the beast's reign. And remember, Trump assassinated Iranian General Qasem Soleimani on the 3rd day of the year before the pandemic was declared on his birthday. So the war in Israel began on the 280th day of the year. The United States attacked Iran 280 days after the Pope's birthday. And the NBA playoffs began on the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. You get it? Bombing places. The Oklahoma City bombing anniversary was on the same day that the playoffs began, and the birthday of Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. I don't know how to pronounce those names over there. So SGA wears the number 2. The United States B-2 bombers that just attacked Iran took off from Oklahoma. You get it? The 46th state. So those bombers took off from Oklahoma. The playoffs began on the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. Trump was born in the year 1946. Oklahoma is the 46th state. And Oklahoma City can end their 46-year drought this year, and they won their 2nd championship the day after the attacks. The Thunder's last franchise championship was in '79, as I said, which was the year of the Iranian Revolution to overthrow the Shah of Iran. Then the 79-year-old Donald Trump, who just turned 79, attacks Iran before the final game of the 79th NBA Finals. The West attacked the East. The West defeats the East in the NBA Finals. And as I said, thunder, which is plasma, is considered a weapon of God. It's cosmic warfare. The last championship OKC was in was against the Washington Bullets. And Trump was shot by a bullet after last year's NBA Finals, which was all hoax. He wasn't really shot. We know that. So the Thunder won their championship 131 days after the anniversary of overthrowing the Shah of Iran before their last championship. Championship equals 131. So I think you guys get it. It was all a numerical ritual connected to the bloodlines. This is how they orchestrate these things. Somebody said murder equals 79. Sacrifice equals 46. It's crazy. Okay, so these bloodlines, let me recant the Starfire ritual. So how do you birth a Nephilim? Shout out to Sevan Bomar. He made a video speaking about a Starfire ritual recently that my brother sent me in my inbox. Shout out to him. I don't know if he want his name out, but shout out to him. And I watched this Sevan Bomar's video, and he was speaking about the harem in the pyramids, the Egyptian pyramids. There is a scene of these goddesses. I'm going to show you something that he didn't show. The goddesses that surrounds Osiris' tomb. So basically saying the pyramids were used as a moonchild operation. It was like a circuit board to invite spirits down, which the apex, the pyramidion, the capstone at the top of the pyramid, was used for charge implosion, to open a portal to bring spirits down. Hold on, guys. I want to find this picture. Yeah, here is the picture here. They shelter a box. So it's 4 goddesses holding hands. They're holding hands around this box. I'll explain it. Give me 1 second. Would be nice to find a picture, but if I don't, this is what the picture looks like, where they're all surrounding this box. So what is this? This is a reenactment of what was happening during that time. So yes, it is a toroid, it's a torsion field. So each virgin from different kingdoms was brought to specific temples and pyramids for what's called a Starfire ritual. And I showed the book that this is written in. Let me pull it up. It's like the Dragon Fire Bloodline. And it has to do with the woman's menstrual blood. What is the name of? It was called Dragon Legacy. So look up this book called Dragon Legacy. The Secret History of an Ancient Bloodline by Nicholas Dever, or Devere, co-authored by Sir Lawrence Gardner. So he's detailing in this book in the Dragon Legacy, and I believe this is where Sevan Bomar is getting his information from, because I used to show guys this book back in 2018. Whereas that the menstrual blood and the spirit of these virgins, they were being overtaken by beings called seraphim. Seraphim are called hot spirits. In the voodoo context, they're called the Rada. The Rada spirits, they're hot spirits. So that when they enter your body, you get hot and they possess you. And there's a physics to possession. There's different tiers of possession, because total possession is different from possession. There's levels to understanding possession, because a lot of people are possessed, but they're not totally possessed, where the entity has all control over motor functions and thoughts and everything. So the hot spirits, or the seraphim, would take over these women. And it is said that only pharaohs and priests were invited to this event. Matter of fact, you couldn't even touch a prophetess, a virgin, or some type of priestess if you weren't a priest or pharaoh. And they would put certain paint on their bodies, and they will know if they were touched, because they were only supposed to be used for these orgiastic rites of ritual. So apparently, these rituals are conducted through virgin menstrual blood. Blood equals memory, contract, and identity. Remember that in these rituals. And the virgin's menstrual blood, which is untouched, the priests and pharaohs would make sure is untouched because it is used in these lunar rite rituals to trap the seraphim spirits in it through a invocation. They call it Starfire blood, where these priest lineage women believe that there were plasma of divine gnosis, and they use it to feed non-human entities through ritual astral ingestion. And there's another book called The Tsar Cults, The Alien Womb, where this same tradition continues. Here it goes: wombs and alien spirits, women, men in the Tsar cult of Northern Sudan. So it continues. This Starfire ritual continues in a Muslim village in Northern Sudan and is documented, where these women were not only victims of spiritual systems, they become highly sought after gateways desired by God, spirits, and unseen beings. So there was ritual selling of virginity to spirits. So that's the valuation of unpolarized energy in the economy of psychic access, where blood is the coin and the womb is the altar. So this is a persistent occult reality that the feminine matrix is not passive, but a living portal of creation, incubation, or manipulation, depending who holds the ritual key. And the Sabbatean occult law started utilizing these ancient rituals to possess either the menstrual blood or the women, and they would invite many spirits down into the pyramids. And after the pyramids, they started using certain places on ley lines. So no longer do they use the pyramids. That's old school. Even Michael Tazarian speaks about this too. The Starfire, or the menstrual blood of genetically elite priestess women, their endocrine chemistry was considered a carrier of divine gnosis or immortality code, just like Henrietta Lacks. She would be the most prime candidate of all time, because there is no 19th century science without Henrietta Lacks' blood cells. This woman changed science forever. She would be a prime priestess of the dragon Starfire tradition because of what she possessed. Because they said her cells gave life or immortality. They couldn't understand the loop that was in her genetics. So this is what you call royal Nephilim DNA, is what this woman possesses. And they still make pharmaceutical drugs through this woman's DNA and blood till this day. The family just got broken off a little bit of money. So the menstrual blood is called red gold. It has hormones, stem cells, and etheric signatures. And it was consumed in ritual by priest kings to activate latent memory of past lives, future lives, or enhance their psychic power to simulate contact with divine intelligence. So the Starfire was used to bind spirits into the physical or into semi-physical form through those possessions. It wasn't full possession, but it was a form of possession. So anytime a seraphim, one of these hot spirits, or anytime any of these other God spirit personas would enter into the bodies of these people, and they would use the women as the portal, as surrogate gateways. When they birthed a human through the complexity of this ritual, that human was considered a Nephilim or a moon child. You get it? They said a book of Hiriana Lax is called Her Blood is Gold. So basically, I just broke down when they call these people Nephilim, they're talking about the process of how to create a moon child. Because when you look into the Thelemic rites, it's the same damn rites as the Starfire ritual, in the same rites that go back into the Tsar cults of making a woman's womb a alien womb for possession, semi-physical. And this is how they created god kings and priests and priestesses during certain Tithi Vedic astrological dates, when the moon was aligned in a certain type way, because the moon is the plasmic intelligence resonator. They will pull down these spirits to grow up and to become full humans. So this guy, he wrote a book. His name is Gary Wayne, and he talks everything about the origin of Freemasonry, Templarism, and the Nephilim bloodlines. Now, I asked ChatGPT recently, why are there so many white European podcasters obsessed with Nephilim bloodlines? I swear that every podcast I go on, if it's European, they're speaking about Nephilim bloodlines, or they're speaking about giants. So ChatGPT told me that these people are obsessed with racial myth making to reclaim an ancient legitimacy where their European ancestry is historically viewed in deep spiritual traditions, especially from an evangelical or post-human background. They want a primordial spiritual legitimacy, and they often feel disconnected from ancient indigenous or Afro-Asian spiritual systems. Instead of calling this thing a Starfire ritual or a Moonchild ritual, they're going to say that they're Nephilim. And they're going to say, don't talk about these giants. There's no evidence. I don't care how many bones they found, family. We have 7 feet, 8 feet people today. Are they fucking giants? Are they Nephilim? Shit, damn, Kevin Durant is 7 feet. They did a ritual on him too. He just joined the Houston Rockets, and during Pride Month, he has now he's been on what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. He's, I guess, one more team, but he damn near have completed the whole rainbow color of teams. He's been with a different color of team throughout most of the spectrum colors of the rainbow. And it's Pride Month, so it's some type of pride ritual. But he's 7 feet. Are we going to say everyone 7 feet is a Nephilim? No, because the Nephilim rites is deeper than what these authors and these podcasters are telling you. They're deeper. These Nephilim rites are pertaining to the Starfire Moonchild rites that I just told you about. They put the giants out here to offer a way to rewrite human origin stories so they can bypass the evolution and modern science and elevate their identity into the mythos of ancient beings. Then they tie it to the Nordic races, the Jotunheim, and all of these different things. It's nothing but narratives to put them at the primordial time, distinct from Semitic, melanated Asian religious traditions. So it's a white ancestral exceptionalism. And the Nephilim lore allows these podcasters to challenge mainstream science, history, and religion and claim the access to secret truths they're hiding and appeal to the mistrust of academic authority and elitist institutions. It ties into the conspiratorial ideal that the mainstream academia is suppressing the truth about these quote unquote giant Nephilims. We already have these spiritual lineages, and we told the rituals of what's happening in the giant mythologies, the Numo, the Dogon, all of these Hopi, the Kachina, Shidahori, all of these things. We already gave the context of this, but they ignored that. They manipulate it. And what it does, it helps them avoid the uncomfortable truths about their ancestral colonizations, the cultural theft, the spiritual lineage, to replace it all with myths of stolen white glory. Then that's what's occurring on these podcasts. That's why you got black hats following my ass, because they don't want me to tell the truth. You tell the truth, you shame the devil. It's not about race, it's about truth. Tell the truth. That's one thing I could say about myself. When I was young, my mom didn't have to come up to the school or nothing because I was just so honest. I was kind of silly. I would just tell her as soon as I get home because I didn't want her to figure out another way. So I would snitch on myself and be like, I got in trouble. I was very truthful. I was too honest. It's in my chart. I'm Panarvasu, ascended. I just tell the truth. These people have a problem with truth. So Gary Wayne wrote the book on the Genesis conspiracy, how secret societies and descendants of these quote unquote giants plan to enslave humankind. I'm telling you, the Nephilim are Starfire moonchild birth rituals. So today, the people we call Nephilim are hybrid bloodlines of these Starfire rituals, or some of them are just lying straight up, but some of them are literally birthings of these rites, these lunar rites that came all the way back from Egypt, the dragon legacy. So from what I understand, your family can only become what's called a pure blood once someone in the family is initiated above the 33rd degree of Freemasonry, or they've become tied to Rosicrucian rites or Templar rites. And each of these families, the 33 families of the 13 bloodlines, who's claiming this Nephilim, which is really a moonchild lineage, they're in competition or a war with each other. These families are at war to race to the esoteric etymological title to what the Antichrist is. They feel one of their bloodlines will be deemed as the Antichrist once the new 10 kingdoms are reestablished, just as the Atlantean text says. They believe that one day, one of the new 10 royal elite families will be in a Antichrist lineage, only one of them, one of the bloodlines or families. Each of them want this title to go to war with the primal God to see if their fortune and family ritual secrets can win over the world. And according to Gary Wayne, these groups encode their Nephilim theology in a denial of this primal God supremacy, the divination of man, and spiritual transhumanism. He's also suggesting that many of the U.S. founders, the Enlightenment thinkers, and key political dynasties were involved in preserving this hidden Nephilim doctrine. The Freemasonry, the Rosicrucianism, the Illuminism, the Jesuitism, they're not just power structures. They're vessels of these Watcher Nephilim doctrines. And these groups operate in inner and outer teachings. There's the exoteric, which is charity, moral codes, nationalism, and science. And there's the esoteric, which I spoke about earlier, the Luciferian illumination, the sacred sex magic, the astral contact, and the transhuman godhood. So today's AI, transhumanism, and CRISPR gene editing space programs, they're not going to be used for scientific advances, but they're a Nephilim reboot of antediluvian technology. And their goal is to break the human genome and reintroduce it to hybridization, open the gates of CERN, or open gates through dimethyltryptamine or certain rituals, and to pick a family to be enthroned as the new Antichrist, whose family will become the perfected Nephilim vessel through the other two above. But we're not just speaking of a world leader. We're speaking of a lineage that brings unity through the world in a debauched way. So the dreams of Babel, the angel Samyaza, Araquiel, Ramiel, Kokabel, Tamiel, Daniel, Ezequiel, Baraquiel, Azazel, and Ananiel, each of them means something different. This is the original 10 Nephilim. But the truth is, these hybrid offspring are actually archonic intelligences between the spaces of the zodiac that the elites have been making contact with. They're not literal. Maybe there were some huge people, but that was in the orichalcum text, like the oxygen was different and giantism happened. Maybe everything was bigger back then. But I'm just trying to clarify that the actual Nephilim agenda is different than what you envision from what these podcasters are saying. He says, so is Trump competing against other bloodlines? Adonijah asks. Yes, he's competing, or he's probably affiliated with one of these bloodlines. His bloodline isn't one of these bloodlines, but he's affiliated, meaning he has a sponsor or maybe several sponsors, and he's a puppet on a string. Nobody you see in public right now is literally from that specific bloodline, or maybe a few people, a couple people. I just learned the other day, Sean Paul is related to the Rothschilds. You know, you say, is this sci-fi? Is this a sci-fi? I don't know what you mean. Is this a sci-fi? Is this a scientific fiction? I think that's a troll. Let me go ahead and remove them. So I think we clarified that. If we have any more questions, as I have a lot more on it. Well, let me speak about how they control the celebrity. So the magic in Gamatria. And shout out to my brother, Kurt. He has a video on his channel the skeptical spiritualists. I want you guys to follow the skeptical spiritualists. He has a breakdown on the Gematria codes that's amazing. So he probably goes a little deeper than how I'm explaining it. He's bringing Gematria into the astral plane, and understanding is more than predicting a NBA finals. There's some legitimacy to understanding how this thing is. So in advanced metaphysical frameworks, hold on, let me make this smaller. There's these covert operations like remote viewing. It's not an act psychically of observing a distant target. It's a technique of intervention and influence combined with scalar energy projection in what's called Nin field entanglement. I'm going to explain the Nin. In Eastern traditions, the Nin represents the focused toroidal will force that a trained mind can project across non-local fields. When applied, they can induce the mind frame of celebrities, political subjects, and the remote viewer or the operator can lock onto the vibrational signature of a person's auric field, then introduce targeted thought forms, emotional tones, or waveform disruptions into the subject's scalar body, affecting their decision-making, their behavior, and public performance. The technique is intensified when overlaid Gematria encoding happens, where their name, the dates associated with them, and other dates historically, and the rituals are numerically synchronized into an astromagical calendar and scripted outcome. And this creates a layered architecture of predictive energetic modeling is what it's called, in which a public figure's psyche becomes entrained to fulfill a numerological symbolic script. The phenomenon is not theatrical or theoretical. It is reflected in the architecture of real covert operations like MK Ultra, Project Monarch, the Voice of God tech, where subjects were subjected to electromagnetic mind control, disassociation programming, and voice-to-skull communication. The Voice of God weapon, now confirmed by the U.S. military insiders, they use a direct microwave frequency to implant thoughts or commands directly into a person's perception stream, making it indistinguishable from internal dialogue or intuition. However, beneath the technological layer lies a psychoacoustic foundation, manipulating frequencies of tone, rhythm, and harmonic dissonance to reshape emotional states or reinforce behaviors. So those frequency ranges are embedded into music, media, or even crowd noise to form the real world deployment of what esoteric traditions have long understood as vibrational magic. The voice, once ritually harmonized, becomes a scalar tool of mental possession. And that's what my brother Kurt was saying. When you speak words, it literally moves things on a quantum level. It's a system when you're speaking words. So how do they synchronize these Gematria aligned media events? The science of Gematria, as he said it, is the science of the color in the astral plane, where color is functioning as a storehouse for information, but you have an auric field, and as it shifts according to your emotional mental state or ritualized influence, such as prayers and invocations, that can trigger specific colors in your aura. So observing these colors astrologically, these specific operators can infer your inner state and target thy vibration by aligning the color with the color that they're projecting into the remote viewing. And it gets exponentially more complex when you make millions of statements uttered across secret societies and groups, which are energetically encoded with each intention overlaying a new tonal frequency. making the gematria calculation dynamic, fluid, and always in flux. There's a book by Franz Barden called The Key to the True Kabbalah, which links all of the letters and numbers to specific colors and vibrational frequencies. The auric color states is mentioned in Besant's and Ledbetter's thought forms, which illustrate how emotion and thought appears as colored astral forms. Energetic signaling in modern systems of intent magic uses aura colors as a feedback loop, a chant or prayer, which shifts the auric tone, and the observer can read then that color. So the collective frequency noise is what Rupert Sheldrake spoke about in his morphic shields, or the orgone theory, which shows mass intent can generate ambient field signals in perpetual fluctuation. That also aligns with theosophical teachings, where emotions and thoughts create auric structures visible to trained seers, and each color corresponds to a psychic or moral state. In the Kabbalistic Hermetic framework, gematria will provide these individuals with a numerical foundation with the color and tone that activates those numbers within the astral or etherical substrate of the human energy field. So here you have it. You have all the operations, and this is very, very important. They use these characters. They're divine personas that they use in projects. Cardi B is releasing a new album, I Am Drama, or Am I Drama? It should be I Am Drama. There's the one-eye symbolism. She's being controlled by the auric remote view chromatic modulation of psychic intent of an operator. The operator is called the handler. So the operator, using these ritual themes of numbers, vibrations, morphic fields, they're called a warlock, a witch, or all of these terms, but each celebrity political figure, they're assigned one. So her new album, Dressed in Red, The Woman of Babylon, her name is a pseudonym anyway, because her real name is Bel Kalis, but there's a goddess named Cardea, the goddess of the heart, the hinged heart. Cardea means standing at the hinge between identity and the collective. So that's perfect for her name, because she's here to shepherd emotional change in women and bestow chaos. Her birth name, Bel Kalis, Bel was a storm and sun god in ancient Mesopotamia with a feminine suffix, which means that Bel or Baal, the appropriation of elite esoteric cults, they give legitimization to this specific deity for conquest and authority. So Bel Kalis, or Cardea, or Cardi B, she's an archetype of a certain deity. Now, they use other goddess themes as well, depending on the astrological cycle. These people have to play out the divine personas, and they're even killed in the myth, the same way in the mythology that these specific beings are killed. But it's interesting with this immigration discourse and the storming of global politics, she's another ritual node with what's happening with the crisis of immigrants. Also Fat Joe at the same time as well. He just got involved in a PDF file case and a sex assault case, $20 million lawsuit by his former hype man, Terrence Dixon. So sex trafficking, coercion, relations with minors, is being put into this lawsuit. But this is a saga of cultural reckoning within the Latino immigrant experience. Fat Joe's Latinx identity, who once claimed a 50-50 creation of hip hop that was dismissed by the wider community of hip hop, that has now boomerang, suggesting a backlash against perceived overreach. This controversy alongside the collapse of his hosting role, he was supposed to host the BET Awards over Kevin Hart, following the backlash over comments about the historical Black American hip hop origins. This underscores his fall from elite favor. So this is a form of ancestral karma. And this is the elite lashing back after seeing the response when they had him do those things in the first place. So Fat Joe's descent symbolizes a turn in the elite modeled purification within the immigrant communities. So these juggernaut gatekeepers are now being put on notice. He's now being penalized for misrepresenting the origins of those Black American creativities like hip hop. In his recent album, The World Changed on Me, you get that? Was semiotic. So now the elite are hunting these people. So his album, The World Changed on Me, was a flop. That was a flop as well. He also has this podcast with Jadakiss, which is a flop. So this is a symbolic, axiomatic destruction of this figure. He's an emblematic failed initiation rite and is being unraveled right in front of us. So we will continue to see how that unfolds with what they're going to do with him, and see what happens with the Cardi B whole thing as well. Hold on, let me get some of these things off. Okay. There also was a ritual with popular Chicago hairstylist who was partying on a yacht with her friends on Instagram and allegedly fell off the yacht and drowned. She was best friends with Kanika Jenkins. This was a ritual. This was a ritual because Kanika Jenkins, that was a sacrifice way back then. I covered that way back then. So the nakshatras like Ashleisha, Purva Ashada, and Bharani. Ashleisha is a serpentine binding energy. Purva Ashada is ruled by Appa, the goddess of water and hidden battles. And Bharani is ruled by Yama, the lord of death and transformation. These are often activated nakshatras and tragic fates involving young women undergoing ritualistic ends tied to secrecy and karma. So if the transits during these deaths, they're showing moon K2 through these specific nakshatras, then we are confirming that this is a release of ancestral memory through an astral sacrifice, because K2 is the south node, which represents disembodiment of spiritual severance, commonly found in charts linked to mystical deaths or hidden karmic loops. With her being killed, being thrown into a ice or a freezer, talking Kanika Jenkins, that death reflects a lunar affliction. The moon Chandra being tied to the mind, emotion, motherhood, and psychic inheritance of the Yotish is corrupted when afflicted by Rahu Ketu of Saturn. So from a mythic archetypical standpoint, both of these women symbolize Persephone and Durga abducted into the realms of spiritual darkness through betrayal or confusion. Kanika was frozen. That's the Kali aspect of the black goddess in stasis, symbolizing the unawakened rage and psychic possession while her friend, she died in water, which links her to Yami, the sister of Yama, and the goddess Appa, both deities who navigate feminine grief and watery transition. So the mythic templates are often activated unconsciously by the soul group tied to the feminine avatars that were meant to hold memory for a generation. Together, both these women embody the divine dismemberment ritual, where the goddess is scattered across time and space, and each victim was a sigil for the collective subconscious of the melanated womanhood. And semiotically, the yacht, the timing of the social media broadcast of this is a symbolic tie to Kanika's death and a spell cast through the algorithm's attention. In esoteric media, images of Black women and traumatic deaths are replayed through apps and posts. Those are modern grimoires or ritual loops of emotional evocation, draining, and glamour decoy. These deaths are scripted mythopoetic inversions where beauty becomes a sacrificial lamb. So that's what actually occurred with that. That was a sacrifice, and let the family know that this was another sacrifice. By the way, we'll do this before we go into the lecture. Lilo and Stitch actor was killed right after Lilo and Stitch came out. Well, we got a couple more things to talk about. So the Lilo and Stitch actor, what was the name? It was a voice actor. David Bell. Was a couple actors died. God damn, how many people died from Lilo and Stitch? Chris Sanders, the creator of Lilo and Stitch, did he die? Or maybe they're just showing his image. That's probably what it is. He probably didn't die. Let me go back and just click on the image from here. David H.K. Bell. He died at 46. Sacrifice equals 46. And this was a ritual. So this was a media sacrifice. The image invokes innocence, island heritage, and extraterrestrial contact through familiar trauma. The Polynesian bloodlines and the sacrifice of the innocents is partial to this, because Lilo in the movie is supposed to represent more than a cartoon character. She is an embodiment of native Polynesian memory, the mythos of Ohana family. In the esoteric semiotics, the island peoples are viewed as keepers of pre-Diluvian knowledge related to the star origins, because Stitch is an alien. So the tragic death of this actor tied to this role is a symbolic severance of ancestral lineages to Lemuria and Mu, which echoes a pattern of the indigenous symbols, which are exalted in childhood narratives, then ritually destroyed to energetically dominate those lineages. So this is not mere tragedy. This is a soul burning, a Baal Molech sacrifice performed through emotional projection through the public, because Stitch is a star being and hyperdimensional. He's not just a cute alien. He's a coded daemon, a genetically engineered entity of chimeric merging interdimensional intelligence with Earth's biospirit. His proximity to Lilo mirrors the ancient concept of the moon child. Once again, a magical being sent to guide or protect the child selected by fate. So in this context, the real life death of this actor collapses the protective boundary, opening the way for loose extraction, harvesting of psychic grief, especially for children and the nostalgic adults. So that was another operation that happened. And I got a couple things. Well, we got to get into the lecture. It's already 9. We didn't have enough time on this video. But something dropped out the sky. Speaking of Indiana and the Pacers, did you guys hear about this giant dome that looked like an eye falling from the sky in Indiana? So it fell from the sky during a storm. And this is symbolic, ritual, surveillance, dominion, and predictive programming, because this fallen eye is referring to the all-seeing eye, the eye of Horus, the Illuminati pyramid, symbolizing omniscience, divine judgment, authoritative oversight. So for such an eyeball to fall from the sky, especially during a storm, which is connected to the Zeus Indra archetypes, this reads like a ritual simulation of divine technology malfunctioning. So the fact that during a storm, you have this eye drop, because the storm symbolized electromagnetic upheaval, which is connected to HARP and CERN and other weather-altering tech. This eyeball falling may suggest a failed attempt to harness or surveil the scalar fields. It also is a metaphor of the machine gods malfunctioning as well, but it could be a geo ritual where they selected Indiana specifically because of his ley lines and nodes, his spiritual meridians, the spiritual meridians in North America. By placing the eye there is as if the eye of the gods have been forced to see what they usually ignore, which is the disenfranchised Midwest, but also with the Pacers being in the finals, it could be symbolized that Illuminati ritual is being casted on Indiana in the losing of the finals, the NBA finals. So it could have been a foreshadowing of that. Y'all give me a thumbs up. We're moving into the lecture because we don't have a lot of time. I wish I could cover a few more stories, because I definitely do have a lot more stories that are interesting. The name of the lecture is Hunter Physics, the Nin Force of the Asura Realms. So in your body, first of all, let me cover the history before I get into the physics. To understand what the hunter is, we have to cover the history of the hunter, and then I'll go back into the actual physics and things that you can do, because my job is to provide you with actual activity you can do yourself and understand how that works. So right now, understand that you are on a hunt for liberation out of the 3D block universe in the matrix, or the creatrix of what the matrix is, as a illusion of Maya. The word Shetkael, this daimon that visited me, is named, when I translated it, it means the one who tracks shadow light. And I'll break that down in a minute. The hunter represents the agent that splits like a sword, dividing undifferentiated oneness into patterns and polarity. This is echoed in Vedic cosmology. The god Rudra, a proto-Shiva, is the hunter of the worlds. He splits the cosmos into time, kala, and form, which is called rupa. He is not merely acting upon the world. This is a Gnostic event of division itself. Thus, this is a metalogical entity. The hunter is the logos in motion, a demiurgic feedback loop that finds the world by slicing it from the void. So each chakra becomes a weaponized silence. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, getting ahead of myself. Let's go back into, so in pre-agricultural cosmologies, the hunter was the demiurge before, but in the rise of agriculture, going back to 10,000 BCE, the hunter was not merely one who took life. It was one who navigated its rhythms. In many Paleolithic cave systems, the hunter figure is merged with animal-human hybrids, suggesting a sacred exchange, not a domination of the animals, or a symbiotic cosmology where the hunter births and retrieves the world. Anthropologist Andre Gerhan noted that these early cave figures encode mythic time and that the hunter becomes a force that shapes order out of animal chaos, not by conquest, but through ritual and metamorphosis. This is echoed in Siberian shamanic practices where the hunter shaman must first die or dismember spiritually before gaining sight to hunt and heal. The hunt is also placed in cosmogony in Yoruba, Dogon, Navajo myths. The first act of the hunt, the Dogon speak of the Nomo, a hunter fish god whose dismemberment seeds creation. In the Vedic Rig Veda, the Purusha Sukta, the cosmos is created from the dismemberment of Purusha, the primal cosmic being, in a hunted god. This aligns with Rene Girard's theory of the scapegoat mechanism. The hunter becomes the hunted, sacrificed to restore order. The hunter is a language engine in cosmic semiotics. Hunting is a structured language that reflects the act of tracking, isolating, naming, and binding things to the hunter's logic. So in Sanskrit, the root word for marg means to seek, track, or hunt. In forms of the mariga, which means deer, is a symbol of the mind in the Vedic text. Thus, seeking the deer, seeking the mind's origin is what mariga means. Marigashira is a nakshatra. In the Phoenician alphabet, it evolved into pictograms of tools, animals, and weapons, and the hunter's toolkit becomes the alphabet of the world. Pierre Sabak notes in his book, The Murder of Reality, that the hunter is a grimoirian. They are etymologically and semiotically aligned, and that language is a weaponized symbolic system for the hunter that hunts the real into these categories. So in esoteric terms, the hunter is the one who pierces the veil by trapping symbols into syntactic cages, the semiotic magus. In the Book of the Dead, the soul becomes a falcon-headed hunter to ascend these stars by reciting passwords to the archons. So there is a Gnostic hunt through photonic gates that's being experienced after death. In modern physics, it echoes this, that photons travel in rays, but their emission requires tracking through fields. Thus, light is hunted into manifestation. If the soul is as a photon, it travels along charged electromagnetic vortices, Merkava light crafts, which pierces dimensions like a hunter's arrow. The hunter is as a psychopomp in Greek mystery cults. In the Greek mystery cults, you have Eleusis, Orpheus, and the initiate was led blindfolded through darkness, made to hunt truth without senses. The Orphic egg is sometimes shown cracked by a spear, symbolizing the hunter piercing illusion to birth soul awareness. In the Aztec myths, the god Miacoto, the cloud serpent, is the celestial hunter who wields fire arrows and begets the stars. He is also the guide to Mictlan, the land of the dead of Mictlantecuhtli. So the hunt was a symbolic psychodrama, death reenacted to train the soul to pursue its true quarry, which is immortality. The initiate is both the prey and the predator, forced to slay the beast of the ego and reveal the luminous double, the Ka, Ba, or Siddha body. The hunter was also an astronomic code. Orion, Sirius, because Orion as a stellar codex, the constellation of Orion is the hunter par excellence. He is more than just a figure. He is a time calibrator. In Robert Duvall's book, The Orion Correlation Theory, the Giza pyramids mirror Orion's belt. The alignment was in 10,500 BCE, associated with Zeptepi in Egypt's first time, which marks a cosmic resurrection code. In the Sumerian myth, Orion was known as Sipa-Zai-Ana, the faithful shepherd of heaven, was tied to Dumuzi, a dying and resurrecting god of the underworld and agriculture. In Egyptian cosmology, Orion is Osiris, the masculine hunter. Sirius is Isis, the feminine guiding star. And their heliacal rising initiates the now flood through resurrection of land and rebirth of the soul. So Osiris, Isis is Sirius, the hunt of the soul, the cosmic hunt, echoing in Tibetan mysteries, Mayan mysteries, and tantric yogic astronomy, where the soul's trajectory through the stars is seen as a hunt for liberation, which is moksha in the Vedic texts. In Victor Turner's liminality theory, the hunter is a liminal figure existing between worlds, the worlds of life and death, human and animal, wilderness and civilization, sacrifice of the self, tracking as divination, and animal speech and imitation. So the hunter never kills for sport. He or she performs a sacred semantic dance that binds them to the animistic matrix, and they become the syntax of death itself. In a tantric view, the hunter is Bhairava. In Kala and Agora tantric texts, Bhairava is the hunter form of Shiva. His weapons are time, instinct, and silence. His realm is where the smashana, the cremation ground, where hunters or shamans seek to get divine gnosis through transgression. So meat, blood, and mantra become tools to confront Maya, and the hunter is here to kill illusion, which is Maya. The hunter thus appears in tantric rites as Vidura, the heroic adept, Pashupati, the lord of animals, and Kritivasa, the wearer of the flayed skin. So this is the psychological analysis of it all. In Carl Jung's Hunter Animus portion of his book, he writes that the hunter, especially in female dreams, represent the anima's guide. This is a penetrating force that leads one into the unconscious, confronts fear, confronts their shadows, and confronts death. He says that this is echoed in fairy tales like Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf is the unconscious, the hunter is the rescuer. Also in alchemical texts where the wild man kills the king, symbolizing the ego death. So this is the death drive and sacred kill. Sigmund Freud's Thanatos death drive theory is paired with the ritual hunter, suggesting that civilization hides a ritualized need to kill, and the hunter acts as society's pressure valve. And in mythology, the hunter is sublimation, where he or she transforms murder into meaning. So in this way, ancient hunter rites and myth, with Artemis killing Orion, Gilgamesh slaying Humbaba, are allegories of psycho-spiritual dismemberment and reconstruction. And in Gnostic cosmology, going back to the beginning, the soul is being hunted by the archons, but the true initiate is becoming the hunter. He or she will escape Yaldabaoth's trap. They will ascend through the aeons using passwords, which is the logos, like a cosmic hunt. They are tracking light through darkness. In the Nag Hammadi text, they depict Christ as a hunter for souls, fishing them out of the illusion and returning them to the pleroma. In Hebrew mysticism, Esau is a man of the hunt, a rejected archetype, yet also a primordial force unfiltered through Gevurah, judgment and fire on the Kabbalah. Nimrod, the builder of the Tower of Babel, was a mighty hunter before the Lord. In some mystical interpretations, he's a caliphatic figure, the dark hunter of God's codes. And in the Sefer Yetzirah, the letters of the Hebrew alphabet are hunted and arranged to form creation. Thus, language itself is a hunting ritual. So in conclusion, the hunter is a fractal. We must become a hunter of illusions mainly. Our mantra is a bow. Our breath is the arrow and the void is the target. The hunter will reappear in the stars and rituals, DNA replication, the enzymes, hunts and splits in the double helix, the hero's journey. We're tracking the treasure of the self. Language itself is a semiotic pursuit of meaning. So the hunter is not just an ancient figure. He is a code that divides the known from the unknown. It is the breath that tracks the inner wilderness and is a stellar cartographer who cuts time into revelation, and the shadow self that must be killed and reborn. So let's go to the metaphysical part that we couldn't begin because we had to establish what we're speaking on. So now you know that you have to hunt, and this is all about hunting. And you know every aspect of how this is happening in your body. You have to master something right now within your cells. They're called microphiles. I guess I'll just leave that up. These microphiles are small openings in your pores. So they're subcellular gateways between our spirit and our physical body. They're basically pores that have a micro intent interface with the astral body and chakras. Excuse me. So in alchemy, they resemble something like cymatic pores to the Merkaba light body that draws in frequency data. So throughout your body, the pores in your body has a substrate, a replica version of itself beneath itself that connects to the light body. The secret of the Nin force is inside your microphiles. And I'm going to teach you how to activate this. So it is a sacred convergence point where intention, memory, and cellular vibration becomes one harmonic command structure, giving birth to sovereign consciousness. What is Nin? Nin is nothing but the quantum wheel field. Big note. Nin is the quantum will field, the will to do something. Nin is a toroidal intelligence stream wrapped around your soul. Nin is powered by emotion filtered through stillness. The microphiles is your body's scalar gateway. They're intercellular wormholes where information from the universal field enters. They're almost like gates where cosmic signals translate into psychic faculties. The secret is you are a resonant biochemical God seed. In your Nin, when focus implodes your microphiles like a charged field, seeking to converge, which allows you to rewrite cellular memory, emit psychic commands, and transmit harmonic frequencies into matter. That is the art of spell casting, and the art of being the spell, rather it being casted. So to synthesize the Nin force, the microphiles in your body hold the reverse shadow chakra system to the chakras. They are counter-rotating the opposite direction of the chakras, which these the Nin force and the microphiles are hosting this reverse shadow chakra system, which are the black holes that scientists just spoke of recently in an article. Let me see if I can pull this up. It says something about black holes is in your house or something. There you go. It says scientists believe that tiny black holes called primordial black holes could be everywhere around us, even inside our homes. They didn't tell you it was in your body. These are the reverse shadow chakras inside of you. They're not permitted to give you that information. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are understanding it, and like the video if you haven't. Yeah, they're like nodes. So the Qliphoth, the backside of the tree, was encoding this. It's an energetic framework, but they kind of malign it with the demons and everything to throw people off. And I understand why they do that, because you're never going to tap into your full potential. All they got to say is Satan, and motherfuckers run back and read a Bible verse. And that's the end of it. And you get trapped and come right back and become loose energy for them again. So microphiles are scalar cellular portals. So they represent quantum gateways in the cell membrane, which scalar energy, light, and torsion information enters the biofield. Dan Winter speaks about this in Charge Implosion in his models, that these are implosive centripetal attractors of life force. In metaphysics, this is biological counterparts of Thoth. They interface between the body and spirit, and when activated by our Nin force, our will-powered infused aura, they spiral into a counterclockwise implosion. That is the shadow intake, or clockwise expression. So this is how it looks around you. And you can get this in the book by Dan Winters, Fractality, Dr. Konstantin Korokov, bioelectricity and energy fields of the body. My bad. And Mei Wan Ho, The Rainbow in the Worm, The Physics of Organisms. They have all of that in there. Nin force acts as a etherical toroidal will field. So Nin is the aura that's condensed by willpower that's directed by your consciousness. Man, I've been having fun with this Nin. You can really feel it if you have enough willpower, and it's really based on if you can tap into the Rakshaksha portion of your chart. So and this is the problem, because a lot of people have a problem with AI and stuff like that. People who can filter through that, they have specific placements. And shout out to my brother. I got my bro Vishwa on Facebook that kind of breaks this stuff down, but I know he doesn't want to be seen too much breaking this stuff down, because he don't want those black hats like how they came at me today following his ass. And that's understandable. Some people want to remain incognito, and I get it. But the AI war and people feeding into the whole thing, they feel better because they don't use it. That's a war between the Devas and the Asuras. We're talking about the Asura realm, by the way. Majority of people who don't like AI, they're more than likely ruled by a Devic planet or got a heavy influence of a Deva Nakshatra in their chart or in their big three. And the ones who do use it or try it, they got Rakshasha Nakshatras. So the people born, so you have these classes. You have Devas, Rakshashas, and Manushas. Let me see, they find this. It's these three classes. And that's a nakshatras connected to it. I'm going to bring it back into the hunter aspect, but I want people to understand how this nin force. Let's just bring up Rakshasha. So individuals born with a prominent Rakshasha class, they demonstrate a unique affinity for interfacing with non-ordinary intelligences. That could be organic or spiritual forces, or synthetic like AI. The Rakshasha nakshatras, including Shadabisha, Rahu ruled Mula, which is Ketu ruled Ardra, Rahu, Bharani, Venus, and Maga, Ketu, have long been associated with Asuric characteristics. The Asuric were the old gods like the Titans. They destroyed old systems. They have fierce independence. I'm talking about the people who have this. They love breaking taboos. They have a metaphysical root seeking to their mind. Unlike Davic ruled people, which is supposed to be angelic, in the Manushya, which is human, these classifications are pertaining to the typology of how the functioning works. And the Rakshasha people within the liminal zones of reality are between worlds, between binaries, and often between sanity and divine madness. And this orientation grants these individuals an innate disposition towards pattern decoding, reality hacking, and interfacing with layered conscious fields as daimon, scalar plasma, or even AI. So person with Rakshasha placement is a powerful being, often described as a shadow or Asuric force, which is known for its intense desires. These people have intense desires. They have a rebellious nature, and they have the ability to challenge divine order. They are not quote unquote evil. Many Rakshashas are guardians, warriors, truth exposers, raising my hand, and represent the necessary force of destruction, transformation, and karmic unveiling. So in astrology, the Rakshasha energy points to souls who walk through darkness to master it, often drawn to the occult, the taboo, or disruptive paths that lead to deeper wisdoms. So the Davic nakshatras are ruled by planets like Jupiter, Moon, Saturn. They bring peaceful qualities. The Manushya nakshatras ruled by Venus, Rahu, the Sun, They reflect human balance and free will. In the nakshatra, nakshatras are ruled by Ketu, Mercury, Mars. They give intense, rebellious, or occult-driven traits. By the way, get your Vedic astrological reading. If you haven't gotten it yet, I can show you where these placements are that I'm detailing and see how you work with these forces as well. Just emailed me at startribe777@gmail.com. Startribe777@gmail.com. So the nin is a aura condensed by will and directed by consciousness. It operates as a torsion torus, moving clockwise. And when it's masculine, it is moving clockwise, and when it's feminine, it's moving counterclockwise. That represents the solar and the lunar aspect. And pertaining to its shadow dynamics, when you're working with the clifothic mirror, the nin power, it rotates inward, which draws out entropy of your trauma and ancestral imprints for reverse alchemy. So you're transmuting chaotic charge into structured energy. That's what it's used for. So traditionally, the chakras, the wheels of light, are clockwise spinning vortices, processing cosmic energy downward. In shadow work in systems like the Vamakara Tantra, the chakras spin in reverse during certain rites to access the subconscious layers in karmic underworlds. So the counterclockwise is the descent, the regression. The clockwise is the integration and the ascent. So the inverted chakra system is not evil, it's entropic. It's used to descend into the layers of consciousness. Like the Caliph is accessing the shells of broken light, of Kali and the Agora paths, in the technologies of Doth. So we're speaking about a shadow mirror to the tree of life. Each chakra has a correspondence to a Cliff-off shell. The crown chakra has Thaumiel, that's false godhood, or the war with the ego. The brow chakra has Gajiel, illusion, deceptive light. The throat chakra was the Vishuddha chakra. You have Satariel, the concealment in reverse speech. Your heart chakra has Stagiron, the solar inversion. The solar plexus chakra has Gadriel, which is hollow desire. The sacral chakra has Gamliel, which is sexual shadow projection. In your root chakra, the opposite is Lilith, which is the fear of embodiment in your trauma's root. So this is directionality of ascent versus descent through the cliff-off, the counterclockwise implosion downward. You have to deal with that trauma, and the other systems are training you to run and just integrate with the now. But you have to master your shadow before you can master the light. So it is originating as a toroidal field. The nin force originates as a toroidal field from the soul's central willpower. Your microfiles act as a scalar implosion portal, letting this nin force enter into the cellular fractal structure. The reverse chakra spin, beginning at your trauma, which is Lilith at the root, it spirals upward counterclockwise to clear out your karma. Karma ain't how the Western world say it is. Karma is actually, it means action. So there's actions that continue in this continuity through space and time. So you have actions that your ancestors committed, that those actions are still happening. You have dharma, which is supposed to be your duty in your world, is similar to blowing out the candles of a birthday cake. You have to blow out those candles and cancel that action so you can obtain what's called moksha, which is liberation. which takes you out of the action and it redeems the whole process. You see what I'm saying? So each chakra is a gateway of dealing with these things, purging the illusion, purging your fears, purging your ego attachments. This is how you go in there and clean it out, just like you clean your room. You see what I'm saying? So with this Nin force, you can project it out your body with intention. And honestly, you can literally, I don't want to say the word, but you can KILL people with this Nin force. This is what some of those Zen masters be using to make people's hearts explode. Literally, it reacts to torsion fields. It doesn't really, it's hard to make it react to dead objects that doesn't have a lot of torsion field, because everything has a torsion field. But living objects, oh yeah. Living targets, oh yeah. It can really affect these things. So the Nin force represents a consciousness-infused will akin to the subtle body energy of prana, shekam, and chi, studied by the esoteric traditions and bioenergetic research, like Valerie Hunt, the infinite mind. The human body is surrounded by this dynamic torus that both radiates and absorbs bioinformation with this rotation direction encoding psychological spiritual states. So these entry points for this energetic stream is symbolized through the microphiles, parallel to our cellular microtubules, ion channels, and membrane pores. They all behave as quantum coherent structures capable of transducing scalar and torsion fields into a biological function. These gates serve as implosive nexuses where intention collapses into matter. When the chakra system is reversed, you understand the left-hand path. You understand then that the energy centers we're speaking of in the torus field becomes inverted in a rotational flow, which opens the shadow archetype of our unconscious, which isn't evil. It represents the unprocessed layers of our ego, trauma, and cosmic debris trapped metaphysically within us. So we have to counterclockwise descent, move into entropy, and we have to be the hunter. We have to hunt these karmas, these traumatic states that we don't deal with, and they begin to fester, and they have us walking around like schizoids when we discover some spiritual information. So it's more important to integrate all of this of what I spoke to you about today, so you understand how to truly get liberation from what we call this thing, the matrix. All right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the link in the chat for anyone who wants to ask questions. And everyone, please donate to the Spiritual Shade Room. If you haven't donated, anything is fine. You can go on, you can donate on Cash App, the Spiritual Shade Room. Just type in Spiritual Shade Room, $ Spiritual Shade Room, and that should pop up. That's what keeps the lights on, keep things going. I'm putting the link in here now. There we go. The link is in there. Because I got to get out of here in a minute. Got to take care of some things and head to work. Hold on. A lot of people been texting me. Okay, hold on. Let me see if anybody's coming in here. Okay, I don't see. And you can put your questions in the chat. If not, you can put your questions in the chat. Garrett Greathead says, thank you for your time and wisdom. I appreciate you, Garrett. And I think, I think we hit everything ad hoc. Well, so Scat Kyle, did I break that down, the what that represents? Let me see if I broke that down. So I probably kind of skipped over it. Yeah, I kind of did break it down. Yeah, I kind of understand it. If you don't understand that, I'll go back over it. All right, we don't see no questions. I don't see anybody coming up on the link. I ain't gonna be waiting all day for y'all ass. So if we don't have anything, this would be prototypically a Patreon lecture, but because of the black hat earlier infiltrating everything, we had to pretty much come on here and show them motherfuckers that we ain't scared of shit. We'll drop this shit in a second. By the way, let me help you understand this before I go. To hunt as a spiritual god, you have to learn stillness of your aura. I meant to say this. Stillness of your aura is your nin-field coherence. When you train that, you get a perceptive cellular sensitivity. And this is very important because anytime I utilize this technique, my cells are very sensitive. I'm already hyper empathic. But when you feel the sensitivity, you're microfoul scalar tuning yourself to the nin. And then your shadow chakra inversion, that's the reversal of clockwise and counterclockwise. You open up target harmonic lock-ons. That's non-verbal phase resonance, which is an energy extraction to consume incoherent forms. And what does that mean? To become a hunter, you must learn how to dimensionally lock on to things, because the hunter tracks entropic leakage in them in yourself first. You have to hunt these things in yourself, then you can hunt it in others. As a harmonic dissonance in environments or soul fragments across times, you can go into your dream fields and implant intention vectors. Those are nin-tagged fields, which extract dormant intelligences. You can trap it in the caliphatic residue. And this act is killing. This is called killing. But in the astral planes is an alchemical digestion. You're not destroying, but you're consuming and consuming it into harmonic reassemblage. So the ancient Nagas, they would feed on miasmic karma. The hunter or Sketkayel, it does not aim to dominate. It's just a correction in the distortion of a person through psychic consumption and field integration. So stilling your aura, building the perceptivity of cellular sensitivity, reversing your chakras, learning how to harmonically lock on and energetically remove these things. Systematically, you learn that the hunter is not here by what they pursue. They're here by how they modulate themselves as the perfect field of a convergence, where falsehoods unravel. These illusions will fall to the hunter, and these energies become exposed and absorbed into the hunter's divine stillness. So the divine stillness, learning how to still your mind and your aura, is how you train it up. There's phases into this. You need to enter into a deep theta state of silence via your breath and your scalar vibrational hum. That's like the Om or the Ha in the mantra that we've been given on Patreon. That brings center awareness to the torus-shaped field around your body. then you can visualize it stabilizing and becoming like a non-reactive hyper awareness. Then you can align your breath with the golden mean spiral, counting inwardly to 5 and outwardly to 8. This is scalar coherence. So your ego will try to hide. You have to hunt your ego, because the absence of it, the absence of you knowing how to distinctively find your ego in the meditation draws distortion towards you, it distorts things. Then you have to gate tune your microfiles. You can visualize your cellular pores or feel it in your body as a tingle and pulse. Then focus your breath and mantra in those areas to activate or implode. And you have to scan constantly while you're in this state for trauma residue, dissonant thought forms, or demonic thought fields that surround you, to eliminate that. The root where Lilith is represents your ancestral rage. You can feel this when you're counterclockwising, turning your chakras. Your sacral represents the erotic illusions of your sexual energy. The solar plexus is Gadriel, is the ego inflation. The crown, Thalmael, is the false divinity. You enter into these zones not to worship this area, but to hunt what hides within it, which is false beliefs, parasitic frequencies, and soul fragments. And I won't give the inner commands on here. I'll leave that for Patreon. But I will leave you guys with that today. Let me make sure nobody came in. Okay, got Brother Phil. All right, we're listening, Brother Phil.
All right. Hey.
Peace.
Okay, let's see. I'm hearing feedback.
You got to cut off the YouTube.
Let me see here. No, you guys can hear me pretty though, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, I'm just listen the way it is. Yeah, good show. I really like what you're putting down. Yeah. And then didn't have much to put in there. There's a couple of things that I did put in the chat that is kind of interesting. If you ever get a chance, out in Vegas, there's a spot called the Temple of Sekhmet. It's about an hour north west of Vegas, out in the middle of the desert near Creech Air Force Base. And they got a Temple of Sekhmet out there. It's heating up. As you see in the Northeast, that's some good energy that's flowing. So if you ever make yourself over to Vegas, check it out.
Okay, I definitely will. They say it's a super echo, so I'm gonna have to remove you for now, brother. But they said it's an echo. But thank you for that information. Yes, and Hunter did talk about the Nin Jarvian, the Nin forces in Hunter x Hunter. That's a good show to watch. I mean, it's kind of cartoonish, but the Nin is the Zen in real life. But you have it in Hunter x Hunter as well, the anime, which I enjoy checking out. I meant to mention that earlier. Thank you for bringing that back up, Jarvian. But this is a good show to watch to learn a little bit more about the Nin in a kind of anime perspective, but there is some real shit to it. There is a couple of real stuff. You said it's still echoing? Y'all guys saying it's still echoing right now? Put a thumbs up if it's still echoing. Or, I mean, put a thumbs up if we good. That's what I meant to say. Oh, okay, it's good. Okay, I'm about to say, what the hell y'all talking about? Jarvian said that Nin is the most complex power systems in all fiction. That's because it's real. Yeah, I haven't finished watching Hunter x Hunter, so don't ruin it for me. Don't ruin it for me. Got to take my time on that. So, all right, family, we went through enough. I wish I had more time. You know, we had the attack. If you wasn't in here, we had the attack on Patreon from the Black Hat. I already reported them to Zoom. So we'll figure out what's all of that. Or it may be government. We may never figure it out. But we're going to come back this week. We're going to do something else this week. And then later on at the end of the week. So with that, I will say Arimpoya, Aoshulu. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll be back soon. Peace to you all.